We're here at Industry Day at the Canadian International Auto Show. We're here for a panel discussion with Canada's top automotive executives. Here's a recap of what they had to say about the future of the auto industry.
Am I worried about NAFTA? Who isn't, right? Because free trade makes sense for everybody, right? It's the way the world needs to come together and work together, and it's good for the global economy, it's good for local economies, and I think it's ridiculous that we would think otherwise. I don't think there's anybody in business that would argue that we need to have greater protectionism. It benefits nobody.
Trade amongst countries is great, and I think we have a great partner in the U.S. I think we have a great partner in Mexico. For us as an OEM, we have two products that are built in the U.S., the Optima and the Sorento, but we also produce those cars in Korea, and we have a great trade agreement with Korea. So, you know, for us, if we have to shift to make sure that the costs are kept reasonable for Canadian consumers, we'll make the adoption that's necessary to continue to thrive here in Canada.
The production of a car, I believe the parts cross border up to 7 different times from different manufacturers, all integrated. Imposing tariffs on all that is just going to increase the cost, increase prices, and benefit absolutely nobody.
We think NAFTA is good for all three countries. We don't want to see any additional costs being borne by the consumer. But we will, we'll make sure we continue to deliver the right product at the right price to be able to deal with any obstacle that may come in our direction.
NAFTA goes away, though, we'll figure something out. We'll go another way. I mean, we make cars in the States, we make cars in Mexico, we make cars overseas. And so, you know, if governments get involved and make bad decisions, businesses will find ways to go around to get consumers still the value they deserve, and they, make sure that their products stay in demand.
EV sales in Canada aren't big. They're less than 1% of all sales. How do you get more people into electric vehicles?
Well, I think you need to align 3 key factors. The first one is about price. So the vehicles are getting more and more competitive in terms of pricing. The incentives from the provinces help a lot. So in Ontario, you've got $14,000 incentive. So that brings you a leap from $35,000 to $21,000. So pricing is excellent. Range anxiety, so adding more range, more battery, charging stations, people being able to charge at home, to charge at work. So that's helping a lot. And education. So people need to test drive Leaf, because once you've experienced that feeling of acceleration, silence, you won't be able to go back to a traditional vehicle.
We're seeing in Quebec legislation forcing manufacturers to adopt 3.5% of all their sales have to be EVs. Is that unrealistic for you guys at this point?
No, the 3.5% for us, I think we're going to be able to manage. But so far what I've seen, there hasn't been one ZEV, zero-emission vehicle mandate, that's been successful. And I think working with the OEMs and having greater conversation and dialogue about how we can come together with government to get greater adoption is really a primary step that has to take place. So, it's a stick and carrot kind of mentality where you can throw the stick, but I mean, if we don't have the adoption, then it's not something that can be conducive to successful planning and strategizing.
So that's it for this session. Tomorrow we'll have another discussion on cannabis in cars. We'll see you then.